How's it going, guys? Coming at you with a review of the Hi-Point 995 TS pistol caliber carbine. This particular one is in 9mm, but Hi-Point also puts out versions in 40 Smith & Wesson and 45 ACP for those that are interested in those. To date, though, guys, this has been my most requested pistol caliber carbine, period. And I think that this is a really popular gun, and there's one big obvious reason why it is that way, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But it's definitely been the most requested, and so I finally just bit the bullet and got one for you. And we spent a lot of time on the range with it, so I feel like I can give it a fair and honest review at this point in time. So. But for those of you guys that have been following my channel for a while, or those of you that haven't, I'm a huge fan of the pistol caliber carbine niche of firearms. There's a lot of upsides to them. One being that, you know, that they're cheaper to shoot. You know, Brass Max right now at Walmart's like 24, something like that, 25 bucks a box, or a cylinder for 100 rounds. You know, so it's cheaper to shoot. The idea that you can share the same ammunition between a rifle and a pistol makes for a really nice minimalistic package. You are getting better ballistics and better accuracy over a pistol when you go to one of these. And they're a great gun for like truck gun, for like home defense. In fact, I think this is like the quintessential truck vehicle gun. I think that this is cheap enough of a firearm that if someone, like, you know, breaks in, steals it, does something like that, you know, you're not going to be really heartbroken. And so as a truck gun, I think this really excels. But I think the pistol caliber carbines are also really nice for home defense. They really are a great option for home defense. And the biggest downside really being to the pistol caliber carbine is that you've got a rifle that shoots a pistol ammunition and not rifle. So you're not getting a rifle ballistics out of something like this, but you are getting greater accuracy and greater ballistics over that of a pistol. So there's a bit of a compromise in there. But the pistol caliber carbine genre I'm a huge fan of, and so I've really been looking forward to doing a review of this particular gun. Now this 995 TS, I have modified the looks of it slightly. I went ahead and put a paint job on it. I'll roll in some footage of what it looked like before I painted it. But this is the Krylon camouflage paint that's ultra flat, and this is like the flat dark earth version of that. I was going to do like some like ATAX style camo with it, but I decided that the actual two-tone look of the flat dark earth with the metal accents, or the black accents, I thought was pretty cool. So anyway, so I've just, that's the only modification I've really done to the gun, is just painted it, and I really like it. I actually like that a lot better than how it looked before. So, but let's go ahead and talk a little bit about some of the base stats of the gun first off and foremost. Hi-Point says that this is a 31-inch long firearm. That doesn't include the compensator on front. That was put on aftermarket. That is a Hi-Point compensator right from their factory, but it doesn't include that. But 31 inches overall. It has a 16.5 inch barrel, but they do say that it weighs 6.25 pounds. Now, that doesn't include the vertical grip, the comp, as well as it doesn't include the magazine clip here on the stock. So including those, you're looking probably another ½ pound worth of weight. So it's probably in close to the 7-pound mark, and it really feels every bit of that weight. I mean, it's a bit of a chunk of a firearm, so I mean, it's heavier than it looks. There's a lot of polymer involved with it, but there's a lot of steel involved with it as well, and so it is a kind of a heavy gun. I just have this box of 9mm Cellier and below to keep the reflection from the gun at a minimum, as I'm just kind of doing the review here just a bit. That's pretty much the base stats on it. You know, it does come in those 3 chamberings that I mentioned earlier, but a little history on the Hi-Point carbine here is that it was really designed during the assault weapons ban in the early 90s, the Clinton era weapons ban, and so its form and fashion is a compromise to satisfy the requirements in that assault weapons ban. So, you know, that's primarily why we are limited to 10-round magazines with this gun, which is one of the biggest downsides of this gun, is that it's a 10-round mag. Like, I know that Pro Mag makes a 15-round magazine for it, but one thing to be cautious, a warning of caution from the manufacturer Hi-Point on the Pro Mag, is that if you use a Pro Mag magazine, the 15-round or the aftermarket ones, they have a tendency to damage the feed ramp on the these carbines, and that will actually void your warranty. So that comes with the paperwork, is that using the Pro Mag magazines will definitely void your warranty. So really, I don't think it's worth having the extra 5 rounds and not taking advantage of Hi-Point's warranty, which is transferable over the lifetime of the gun. It's absolutely an industry-leading warranty, really, on these firearms. I mean, they really have a great warranty program, and so I wouldn't void my warranty just to get 5 extra rounds out of a magazine. So anyway, that's just a word of caution, but their warranty service, you know, just as a side note, is a really, really great selling point with the Hi-Point itself. But again, that's one of the biggest downsides, is we're limited to 10 round magazines with it. And I think that that's really kind of a big bummer for this rifle, because it could be better than it is if you were able to put like a 33 round magazine in it, like a double stack mag or something like that. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the upsides of the gun. One of the things that I was pleasantly surprised about with the Hi-Point is the fact that accuracy was really, really good. I had a friend of mine shoot this gun that was really, he's really a gun novice. He hasn't had a lot of time behind any guns, but he was able to pick this up, and he was able to shoot and shoot pretty accurately at 194 yards at a 12-inch plate. And he actually hit it a few times. Once he got dialed in and he kind of knew where he was hitting at with it, he was actually able to hit 3 in a row with his last few rounds of the magazine, which was pretty impressive at 194 yards. And the reason why he was able to do that is because the iron sights on it are actually pretty decent sights. They are a little bit hokey on how you adjust them. They're a little hard to adjust precisely. But once you get it dialed in, the actual ghost ring sights on it are pretty decent. Like, there's really not much to complain about with that. And so, you know, the sights are another upside to the gun. Another big upside to the gun is reliability. Now, when I first got this gun, I purchased it for $300. It was used. And when I got it, it was pretty dirty, so I cleaned it up, and I intentionally kind of went without a lot of lubrication. I didn't put a lot of lube in. I wanted to see how well it would run without, you know, just slathering oil all over it. And so it's pretty well dry when I took it out to shoot. And, you know, it fed perfectly. I mean, there was no reliability problems whatsoever with the several hundred rounds that I put through it. One thing to note, though, when we're talking reliability, is this, as you can see, this magazine, I think I've got like 7 rounds in this mag right now. As you can see, the nose of that round is kind of angled downward a bit. And when it was like this, if you inserted this magazine in and tried to drop the charging handle on it, it wouldn't actually run the round up into the chamber. So you had to make sure that the round was poking up just like that. And so I had a little bit of problem with reliability-wise, but it was magazine-related. If you didn't have the round poked up just like that, then if it was down like this, then it didn't feed reliably. But once we figured that out, we didn't have any problem with it after that. We just made sure that the round was intact and loaded properly. But reliability-wise, once it was functioning, no problem whatsoever, and that was a huge, huge plus. So, and that's what I've pretty much heard from a lot of people in reviews that I'd seen and watched and heard on their gun, was that for the most part they feed all kinds of stuff. One thing the Hi-Point says about it is it's also plus P rated, so you can shoot plus P ammunition out of it. I know that the Kel-Tec Sub 2000 and the Just Right carbine, I know are both, they say not to use plus P ammunition in it. I know the Kel-Tec also says don't use aluminum case ammunition. So, you know, there's downsides that way, but this thing runs pretty much everything. And that's a big plus when it comes to a blowback action, which is what this is. Blowback actions, as a side note on that, is, you know, they're a very simple mechanism, but they also are a downside in that the action itself becomes very dirty because of the gases being blown back into the chamber. So you get a lot of carbon buildup and things like that. And so, you know, that makes for a little bit dirtier action, but, you know, fairly reliable and tried and true action to date. So let's go ahead and talk about ergonomics with the gun. Now, like I said before, the gun is kind of a chunk. It's not really super thin. I mean, you can see that, you know, the fore end is pretty thick. You know, the receiver's thick, the stock's thick. It's just kind of a bulky gun. The other thing is if you can look at the grip with my hand on it, I've got like smaller hands. And so I found that it was kind of, you know, a thick, grippy, a thick handle, especially for a single stack magazine. It's a very, very thick handle. The other thing that I noticed ergonomic-wise is that if I was in a shooting position, it's very hard to work the safety reliably. I actually have to kind of bring my hand around in order to work it that way. And so I find that the safety is really not that great ergonomic-wise. And so that's a downside. The charging handle is on the, that locks it up. The charging handle is on the left. I know that there's a couple aftermarket companies that make a charging handle package for the right side of this gun, but I don't mind having the charging handle on the left. And it has this little spinner thing on the end, so you know you can operate it in several different ways, and it's pretty comfortable that way. One thing to be said about the charging handle is that we had problems with it coming loose. And actually, while my friend was shooting long range with this gun, the charging handle actually came off of the gun and smacked him in the face, kind of hit him by the eye. And it actually gave him a black eye, if you can believe it. It hit him that hard. It gave him a black eye, and if he wasn't wearing safety glasses at the time, which is one of the reasons why I always recommend that you guys wear safety glasses, but he wasn't wearing safety glasses. It hit him by the eye, gave him a black eye. But if that would have hit his cornea or hit his eye, it would have ripped right through the cornea for sure. So I mean that's a safety thing, you know. So make sure that you pay attention to your charging handles and make sure that they're locked down really, really tight. You could probably use Loctite on it because it does screw in. It's part of the takedown procedure, is that this actually screws off. So you want to be kind of cautious with that, and we had a problem with that coming loose while we were shooting. You know, you have this reciprocating charging handle, you got a lot of mass, and it just kind of came undone. So another ergonomic consideration is that it does have this recoil pad here in the back, which kind of helps mitigate recoil, I guess, a bit. And on mine, there's a factory compensator put on the end here, and so you know, recoil wise, with its weighing about 6.5 pounds, recoil is really, really minimal, that's for sure. So from a recoil standpoint, actually firing, it does really, really well. It also comes with a vertical grip. You can get this vertical grip also from Hi-Point, and it acts as a storage compartment for your takedown tool. I'll show you that in a minute. But when we talk about ergonomics, we have to talk about the trigger. The trigger really isn't that great. It's very, very heavy. The gun is clear. Yep, clear and safe. It has a long take up, and it is also very creepy and very gritty. The reset on it is very, very minimal, very mushy, but it's a creepy, gritty, long, and heavy take up. So it's definitely not the best trigger in the world. Some people have said that that the trigger is functional. So when you're actually shooting it, that, you know, it's a pretty decent trigger. I didn't find that to be the case. I found it to be, you know, long and heavy and gritty. And so, you know, if it's not really supposed to be a real long range gun, and so trigger really isn't that big a deal. And it's not a deal breaker, but it's definitely not the best trigger on the market. So the 995 TS, the TS actually stands for tactical stock, and as you can see, it's very tactical. We have rails on the bottom and underneath the barrel and up top here. One thing to note with sights and with optics is that the Picatinny rail on top is attached to this shroud, and I'll show you that as we break it down. But the shroud is held on by these non-precise pins. And so you're going to have some point of aim shift just because this really doesn't match up to the stock very, very precisely. And you know, and I worry a little bit about the reproduction of zero with the receiver, with the shroud for the receiver. But so if you're going to be running like a magnified optic, that might be an issue with you. A red dot and like iron sights, you're probably not going to throw your zero off enough to make a huge difference with it, but it's definitely something to consider. But you know, tactical stock, I guess you can decide whether it's a tactical stock or not. But anyway, it's definitely more of a tactical stock than its predecessor. But I really think it's really not the most attractive gun. It's definitely not like a high-speed, low drag, sexy carbine or anything like that. It's definitely something that is a little bit on the gaudy, little homely side of it. But you know, functionality-wise, I think it's pretty good. So let me show you one thing that we were having also a problem with is the magazine, actual seating of the magazine. So you can see that it has this channel in the bottom of the grip, and if you put the magazine in kind of straight, then what it does is it actually does not go in. Even if you just do it kind of like even a slight angle, it still doesn't go in. So what you have to do is you actually have to put the back of the magazine against the back of the pistol grip here, and then slide it in that way. Whoop, I messed it up even there. Ah. Well, you can see that it kind of has a problem, you know. So you have to kind of like slide the magazine kind of canted forward and up so that it will go all the way in. Mag release, just fine, great positioning, no problem that way at all. But that's definitely an issue if you're trying to run this as a tactical, you know, setup or something like that. That magazine insertion might mess you up, so you have to kind of practice with it for sure. But that's a reliability issue there for me. This is a aftermarket magazine holder that you can buy from Hi-Point itself, and then it does have the aftermarket compensator muzzle brake type thing, which I really don't think you need a whole lot of, because it's really not a problem. Recoil is really not going to be an issue with this gun. Vertical grip actually folds up, which is actually how I kind of prefer to shoot it, is I like to kind of pull back on it instead of having it completely out. I'm not really a big fan of vertical grips held like this. I kind of like to wrap my hand around and just use it as more of a stop when I'm pulling backwards. But it folds up like that. Also the charging handle on this particular one, the charging handle also acts as a storage bay for your takedown tool. You just rotate that back, and your storage, your tool drops out the bottom. And so I'll hold that off to the side because we're going to probably do a breakdown here of the gun itself. But it actually acts as a storage for your tool as well. I'll show you the breakdown procedure here as I'm talking and finishing up here. I'm just going to run it like as a high-speed deal because the takedown's really pretty laborious. You have to remove these pins here. You have to remove this little shim thing underneath here, and then you have to rotate this little capture lever up here, slide this dust cover off, remove the charging handle, unscrew that, remove the top cover, and then take it out of the stock itself. And then there's further breakdown of the actual bolt, the bolt and bolt carrier underneath there. And so, I mean, it's really, gosh, guys, it's really kind of a pain in the butt. The breakdown procedure, but I'm showing that kind of in a high-speed like little montage right there. But for the most part, breakdown procedure sucks, and where it's a blowback action, it's going to get dirty fast, and having a really hard or tough breakdown procedure kind of makes it an annoying gun to run a lot. You know, if cleaning doesn't bother you, and if you're like super anal about your gun maintenance, then it might be a little more annoying than if you just don't even really care and it's just like a plinker gun. But for what it is, the takedown procedure blows big time. So, but overall, guys, I think that price considered, I think it's a pretty decent gun. Like, I don't think it's not sexy, it's not high speed, low drag, it's no like Just Right carbine, it's no Kel-Tec Sub 2000, but for what it is, you know, I think you're going to be really hard pressed to find something that's $300 that offers you the same amount of reliability and accuracy that this does. I really think you'll be hard pressed to do that. So, minus some major problems with the breakdown procedure, and minus like some ergonomic considerations, some magazine issues, you know, I think overall, I think the gun's pretty dang good. You know, like, I really don't see a whole lot of problems with it. I think it's, subjectively, I think it's not really attractive. I think it's kind of like a wart, you know, but a tactical wart maybe, but, you know, like, it's just kind of, you know, it doesn't really get me excited looks-wise. You know, the grip's kind of fat for me. But, you know, if you're looking for a great home defense gun, for one that is going to be a great truck gun, you can just throw it in your truck, not have to worry about if it gets banged up or anything like that, then, man, really, this is a good place to start. There was a lady, a gal in Detroit that had, I think, 3 guys try to break into her house, and she fended them off with this exact gun. So, I mean, pretty dang cool, you know. But anyway, I think if you get it, you know, put some spray paint on it, you know, like like make it kind of your own, you know, throw a sling on there, you know, just kind of go with it. You know, I think it's a great gun. I don't think it's something you're going to really regret buying necessarily. So but if you guys are definitely looking to get into the pistol caliber carbine genre, for $300 you can't go wrong. It's a great place to start. So anyway, guys, if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them down below. You know, if you guys own one of these, let me know what your experience is with it. You know, if you've had any problems, or if you think it excels in an area that I didn't mention, go ahead and leave a comment down below with your questions. If I can't get back to you, somebody else in the comments probably will, so I wouldn't worry about that at all. I can't get back to everybody, but you know, but I've got some really great subscribers that know a lot, and they can probably answer your question as time goes on. But anyway, guys, don't forget to subscribe for more videos just like this and more reviews just like this in the future. And don't forget to like the video if you do like what you see. It does help the video out, does help the channel grow, and I really appreciate it, guys. And as always, thanks very much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video. See ya. How's it going, guys? And welcome back to the tabletop. This is going to be a review of the Just Right carbine. This particular one is chambered in 9mm, and I'm super excited to bring you this review just because I've really enjoyed this gun, and I think that it's something that is worthy of spending some time and attention to on a detailed review. This is actually the second time I've tried to do this review. The first time it got way too long, and mainly because there's a lot to talk about with this rifle, and I really want to give it a fair shake. So I'm going to try to be as concise as I possibly can, but it's still going to probably be end up being kind of a longer review. But